If you want to crown them, then crown their ass. But they are who we thought they were, and we let them off the hook.
Welcome back to your Valley Sports Plug 2026 Arizona Diamondbacks Deep Dive. It's Tuesday, February 24th, 2026. I'm your host, Chris Patrick, joined tonight by my co-host, VSP Tallman. You may notice no Michael Benjamin tonight as he is out at the Phoenix Suns game, enjoying the Suns taking on the Celtics. And boy, oh boy, is he deeply missed. And we're not even 60 seconds into this stream, but we're going to have a good time tonight. And I'm not saying that because of you, Tallman. I'm not saying that because of you. How are you doing, though, bro? How you doing, man?
Oh, man, I'm so offended. How dare you? Oh, I'm doing good, Chris. Feels good to finally talk about some Dbacks. And, yeah, poor Mike's on assignment right now watching – hey, decent game. Looks like Suns are up by 3 right now as we speak, so 20-17. But I don't think Jaylen Brown started for the Celtics. And, of course, no Booker and all the injuries. So, but, hey, at least it's not what the Suns did against the Trailblazers.
Yeah, boy, oh boy. That was, I think, the first L Mike had to witness this season. So hopefully
we jinxed it.
We jinxed it a little bit.
Yeah.
We just recorded our Heat Check Live, or I'm sorry, Heat Check podcast over this last weekend, and that'll come out in a few days here. And I think we had mentioned that either on the stream or when we were all together. But yeah, so hopefully he gets to enjoy that win tonight if there is such a thing. But yeah, no Jaylen Brown, so I kind of like our chances. But as you also mentioned, no Book. But Tallman, we're not here to talk about the Phoenix Suns. Of course, we are going to deep dive the Arizona Diamondbacks, who just kicked off spring training about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, something like that. And boy, oh boy, are there storylines aplenty. We're going to check in on spring training, check in how they've done so far. We're going to go from the pitching to the outfield, to the infield, to the minor leagues, to the major leagues, to the Pacific, to the Atlantic. We're going to talk about it all, and let us know while you're joining us live here in the comments what you think about this Arizona Diamondbacks team. You can join in on the conversation, and maybe we'll just go ahead and talk about your comments. So let me put this logo, fine Valley Sports Plug logo, up on the screen. Mike reminded me to do that. Thank you, Mr. Benjamin. And before we dive into all the topics at hand, I do want to thank you all tuning in live, or anybody listening on the playback on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, pretty much anywhere you can find podcasts, you'll find Valley Sports Plug. All of our links are in the description below. That's going to be at AZ_VSP on Instagram, X, TikTok, and so much more. And of course, right here on our YouTube page. Yes, Michael Benjamin, baseball is back, and we could not be more excited. So please like and subscribe if you're watching here on YouTube. If you're watching on the playback, send this show to your friends so they can stay up to date on all the incredible Valley Sports action. But Tallman, we got to start with the present day before we can look ahead to the future and speculate. And that is spring training getting kicked off for the Arizona Diamondbacks. I don't think anybody really cares too much about final scores. And I've seen around the league some pretty crazy scores. I think the Pirates had like 18 runs or something like that today. So, winning spring training games isn't really like the end of the world. You kind of just want to see these guys get some reps. But what have you liked or not liked out of the spring training games for the D-backs so far?
Yeah, before I jump into it, Mike, watch your basketball game, dude. You're making us all look bad. He's in the stadium watching this.
He's working OT.
Yeah, man. What is this?
He's got. I do have exclusive information that he has a special Wi-Fi connection in that arena. I won't divulge any more information, but he's able to, I think, through that. But
Mr. Big Shot here. Wow. But yeah, jumping into it, Chris, and then you mentioned earlier, today was the 5th day of spring training, so it's been less than a week of what we've seen. And then, of course, final scores don't matter. These are all exhibition games. People are just working on their craft. That's why some of the batting stuff is not, these pitchers aren't really, I mean, they're trying to get you out, right? But they're trying to work and figure out, try to get in the groove here, try some new pitches and stuff against live batting that's not their teammates, right, in an actual game type setting. So you got to take all of it with a little bit of grain of salt. But obviously the first game, my biggest takeaway was our boy Nolan Arenado, his first at bat as a D-back, hitting a home run. So again, I know, take it with a grain of salt, but I mean, if that's just a glimpse of anything that we can expect to come in the regular season, that is great, given just how the D-backs traded for him, how we're barely paying him any money, didn't have to give anything up for him. And if he can come in and produce any type of power like that somewhere in the middle of this lineup, that is a huge win right there. And it's good to see it. And you saw some of the St. Louis Cardinals fans cry on Twitter about why did they get rid of him? He never did that for us. So props to him. Great start to his D-backs career. And then on another note, who is kind of just going to be the talk of spring training, I'd say, for Arizona Diamondback fans, is going to be Jordan Lawlar. I mean, he's been off to a killer start. And that's kind of all we wished for too. I mean, I think he's had 6 at bats. I might be wrong. I don't know if I didn't look to see if he played today. I don't think he did. No, he did not. Okay.
Nope.
Yeah, 6 at bats so far. He's 4 for 6, 2 home runs. So he's showing some of that power too. So that's exactly what any D-backs fan is rooting for right now, is him to have kind of that come out season, because we waited 2 years so far where he's come up. He's not been successful in his major league career. He's got horrible stats in the major leagues going against major league pitching. So again, some of these pitchers he's going against aren't guys that are necessarily going to make that roster and pitch, throughout the regular season consistently. But hey, it's good. I mean, this is a lot better than seeing him go 0 for 10 or something, right? And just completely struggle. And one of those home runs he hit, though, was on a breaking ball, which that was his kryptonite when he's been up in the major leagues, is the guy can't hit the off speed. He's sitting back on the fastball 100% of the time, and he's getting beat with that breaking ball 100% of the time. So that was promising. So that's just a couple of my takeaways, are the newcomers and then the young guy that we're going to need a lot from right out of the gates with kind of the injuries in the outfield. And Lawlar needs to have his stuff, because it seems like this is his last chance to really grab a hold of an opportunity in the major leagues.
Yeah, and they I think are the Diamondbacks, being the organization as a whole, I feel like have really signaled their belief in Jordan Lawlar, because a lot of fans were a little bit fed up with him last year, not being able to hit the ball. Like you mentioned, those breaking pitches he just struggled at. I heard one of the radio guys today say he was like Serrano from Major League. He's like, hit fastball good, hit breaking ball no good, or whatever the line is. But I mean, we really do need him to step up and do well, because he is kind of like, I know it's an overused phrase, but like a Swiss Army knife guy. You can kind of play him in the infield, the outfield. He's quick, but he showed a lot of potential through his time in AAA and coming up. And I think they expected him to be able to produce a lot quicker than he has. But I also think for him being still kind of a young guy, and Torey Lovello almost said as much, it's almost kind of like he's trying to boil the ocean, doing it all at once. He wants to, I think Torey Lovello said he's trying to hit 5 home runs in a single at bat or something like that. So he's just, getting a little bit ahead of himself. And if he can just get back to playing baseball and doing what he can do best and what he is capable of, staying in his wheelhouse, I think he'll be all right. Now, granted, I was one of his big critics last season, but going back to that as well, last season, that is, there was a lot of conversation had about potentially moving him to the outfield, especially in the back half of the season when all those injuries started piling up. So it's interesting to see that they're doing that now. As far as like obviously a massive roster for spring training, you're going to see a lot of guys coming in and out. It's also interesting. I don't know the exact numbers, but there is a certain number of, I think, I don't know if they call them starters or 40-man players, like the guys with no options. You got to have a certain number of those guys in the lineup, as well as those spring training invite guys. So you can't just throw out all these double, triple, and single A guys to go play against major leaguers and then give your guys the whole whatever. But I think it's a good chance for us to get some look at these young guys. I mean, I know, have you heard about Ryan Waldschmidt, the young outfielder?
Dude, talk about a stud, man. How old is that kid? He is
22.
Yeah, he's shown some pop with that bat. And what's crazy, it's because I don't think he hasn't played in AAA at all, or the minors at all. So I think there's a runway for this kid to be on this opening day roster. I mean, if he keeps firing at it, and I know we're going to talk about it later with the World Baseball Classic. The guys on this team that are going to be leaving. I mean, we're still doing spring training. There's still going to be a ton of games that we have to play. So these young dudes, Waldschmidt, specifically, and Lawlar, as the aforementioned, these guys they're going to play a lot of these games. So if he keeps popping like he has, I mean, he's shown some power too. Has he hit 1 or 2 home runs? I don't know. He's been impressive to say the least. And he's been impressive to the coaching staff, to Torey Lovullo as well, where he said he's coming into his office, talking to him about stuff, talking about where he sees his career going and how he wants to progress. So if he continues to keep, like I said, just popping and showing that he is a great talent, he could be on this opening day roster, which is crazy, but only because of some of these injuries and the opportunity that is just in front of these young guys.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's another good thing about him being young and really not having much playtime in AAA or obviously at the major league level is he's still going to have those options and that flexibility where you can send him up, move him down, and kind of, get some wiggle room there while still getting him good reps, because he has shown flash. And a lot of people don't know much about the MLB draft or the prospects or anything, myself included. But in my limited research on him, he was considered one of the top prospects in the 2024 draft and managed to, I don't know if he slipped to us, but we snagged him at 31 overall. So he was a first round pick. So that would be first round, right? Or would that be early second? I don't.
Well,
help me out here, Tallman.
There's 30 teams, right?
30 in baseball, 30 in basketball, 32 in football.
Yeah, in football.
And then nobody cares about hockey.
Oh, man.
Unless you're winning a gold medal for Team USA, and then we care. But kind of bouncing around here, which I expect we'll do tonight as kind of topics come to mind. But while we're talking about world events, you briefly touched on it there. The World Baseball Classic is coming up. I think in about a week, players are going to start reporting to their respective countries' teams to start practicing for that, because that kicks off pretty quick at the beginning of March here. And as you mentioned as well, we're going to lose some guys there. Perdomo, Marte. I guess you aren't really going to lose Carroll. Do you know who else on the roster we're going to lose to this World Baseball Classic?
Yeah, so looks like Nolan Arenado is going to play for Puerto Rico. Michael Soroka is playing for Canada. Alec Thomas, Mexico. Eduardo Rodriguez, Venezuela. And then, I think Carroll was listed on the USA team, but obviously he's not going to play with the injury. But yeah.
Oh, and Santana. You said Carlos Santana?
I missed Carlos.
There you go.
Yeah, I missed Carlos as well. Okay.
So basically our entire infield plus Alec Thomas and Eduardo Rodriguez. But what I was wondering about today, and I wanted to ask you, do you think that with the World Baseball Classic kicking off and us losing these guys for a short period of time, do you think that is a setback for the team getting continuity and these guys getting reps together? Or is it not too bad because they're still getting reps individually and they'll still be playing baseball?
Yeah, I'm not too worried about the main two guys being Cattell and Geraldo Perdomo. I mean, those guys they're solidified professionals. You don't got to worry about what they're going to do, game one of the season. We know what they're going to do, right? I'm not worried about that. Arenado, maybe a little bit, although being, veteran guy, he's up there in the age categories. Like he's not going to be playing every single one of these spring training games. He's going to get, as we get closer to the season, I'm sure he's going to want to get in there, get some innings in, ramp up a bit. But I mean, the dude's got, he's got the resume. He's not playing in the spring training, even when he was 30 years old. So I'm not too worried about that. Really, I guess the main one would be Alec Thomas. And I mean, he's still going to play baseball. It's not like he's going to sit on his couch, but it's like we mentioned this is the year for Lawlar, like it's kind of the same for Alec Thomas. I mean, it felt like the last couple of years, it was like, okay, who's going to have a good season this year? Is it going to be Jake McCarthy or is it going to be Alec Thomas? Because neither of them can do it at the same time. And then obviously poor Jake, he got traded off. So it's kind of, Alex was the guy that won that battle. I'm calling it a battle. It's never a battle, but you know what I'm saying. Alec is the one that's still here. Yeah. So it's kind of like, is this going to hurt him being away from the team, working with some of those guys? I mean, he's had a pretty decent start at the plate, which has kind of been his downfall. We all know he's fast as hell. He's a great defender out there. He's been getting reps in left field because they're trying to run Jordan Lawlar in center field, Waldschmidt in center field. So it seemed like he's going to get moved either way, with Gabriel out with that injury to start the season. But what impact is that going to have, with him getting ready for the season when it's a pivotal year for him, I would say, in his career, because he's yet to really steal the show, I guess, from the plate, offensively saying, where we can't have, in the major leagues, you can afford, maybe one guy batting ninth that is just kind of an automatic out. But for him to stay on this team, be a part of this young core, he's got to figure it out at the plate, and he's got to start producing offensively.
Yeah, I'd say I want to say a big year for Alek Thomas is loading, and I think that's more so out of hope than anything else. But you kind of mentioned it. I think they signaled their belief in him there with moving off of Jake McCarthy and saying that Alek is our guy, as well as the incredible depth we've had in these young players that we even have yet to see, because it seems like our depth there is huge. And now we're talking about Lawlar and or Tawa also playing in the outfield while we wait for Corbin Carroll and Lourdes Gurriel to get healthy. But I pulled the schedule up here because I think it's interesting. On March 3rd is when they're going to start these exhibition games, and they're playing against MLB teams. So you see here, Mexico is going to play Arizona, the Diamondbacks. So Alek Thomas will be playing against his own team at Salt River Fields on Tuesday, March 3rd at 3:10 p.m. Eastern time. So I think about 1:10. So when you're at work, throw it on. You might get to see Alek Thomas take a rep against his own team.
Yeah, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So that's really awesome. As you can see, Detroit's going to Santo Domingo in that stadium. I assume they're probably having some games out there for the World Baseball Classic, but the official games will kick off the following day on March 4th, and it only goes through the 17th. So it's not like their whole spring training is getting burned. It's only 12 days. It is kind of crazy, but I guess it makes sense, especially with the game of baseball, when you consider these guys are playing 5-6 games a week as it is. So it's not that, in that sense, crazy that they're going to be finishing this up in 12 days. But I would almost agree with you in a sense. I think it's good that they're still getting reps. It's kind of a double-edged sword, because you want them to get reps with their team. How much does that really matter? But them staying in shape and playing baseball at the end of the day, I think is probably the most important thing.
Yeah, it's because all these guys are playing winter ball too. So it's like these professional players, they never stop playing baseball. So it's not so much the miles they're putting on the tires, I'd say, but it's like the timing of it. I don't know. It's like what this would be. It'd be so much. It'd have a lot more sparkle to it in my mind if they're like, hey, let's go around the MLB season and spring training. Let's schedule this in their off season where these guys can come report and there's no interference with it. Because as a fan, you got to be selfish. I don't give a shit about the World Baseball Classic. If Ketel Marte goes out there and tears his fucking Achilles, I'd be irate. You know what I mean? Before this season, 2 weeks before the season starts. So I get the idea of it. There's a lot of people from Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, Venezuela, from Mexico. That's baseball. You have some of the biggest stars in the game, in the history of the game, coming out of those countries. So I understand what am I trying to say? The want to represent your country, right? And I guess the same goes for USA, even though USA is not going to win the World Baseball Classic. I'm sorry, but
you don't think?
No, I don't think so.
They were second runner up the last time, right? Was that 22? No, that would have been 24. Do they play it every 2 years?
Yeah, I think it was 24. That sounds about right. But no, I don't think so. Dude, it's these international guys, man. Some of them are just absolute stars. Half our team. We got some good ball players that are not from the United States. But anyway, that's me just venting on, just again, as a sports fan, especially in Arizona, when the last thing I want to talk about is more injuries, injury. At least if he was here getting ready with the team, he got hurt in spring training, I'd be less upset. I'd still be upset, but I wouldn't be able to look at an entity and blame it on them. Oh, he just had to go play in the WBC. But again, that's just me being selfish. So I'll digress here.
But you're allowed to be selfish, especially when it comes to your sports teams that we love. And what I find interesting is the venues here, right? You got San Juan, Puerto Rico, Houston, Texas, Tokyo, Japan, and Miami, Florida. So I don't know for sure, but I believe 3 of the 4 of those are pretty warm weather climates. I think Tokyo and Japan can get a little chilly. I just had to look it up. Right now, it's a high of 54 and a low of 50. I'm sorry, a high of 54 and a low of 41. And we're already in late February. And I bring that up because I was going to kind of say, why not bump this tournament up a few weeks to not be happening right in the middle of spring training? But maybe it was just a little too chilly for him. I can understand that, I suppose. But also, like you said, they're already playing winter ball. So what's the big deal? But regardless, I don't think it's the end of the world, and it's a lot, 162 game season. Like, we're going to have a lot of baseball for them to warm up, get that continuity, get rolling and get going. So missing a week and a half, 2 weeks of spring training ball, probably not the end of the world. But Tallman, for the sake of time, let's keep it pushing. Hop on over to our next topic at hand, and that is the starting pitching, specifically the 2 guys that we brought back that we didn't think we'd get both of them. We thought we might get one of them. Now, if you tuned in last week, we talked about this a little bit with Nico and Mike, but it's the return of Zach Gallen and Merrill Kelly, the dynamic duo, off to a bit of a bumpy start, I have to admit. First of all, I want to give you the floor. Are you excited to have both of them back? And if I had to put you on the spot, which one are you more excited to see come back?
Yeah, I mean, it's it's crazy that they're both back. I mean, if you would have asked me that question, or sorry, let me go back. If you would have said, hey, they're both going to be back next season, the day after the trade deadline last season, I'd say you're smoking something, and you should probably share whatever that is you're smoking. I am excited to have them both back. The late addition of Gallen, I mean, it's great insurance for the starting rotation. I mean, it's before Gallen was even signed. I mean, we had our 5-man set. You know, it was Merrill Kelly, Ryan Nelson, Brandon Pfaadt, Eduardo, and then Soroka, where Soroka didn't have a great outing today in his first appearance in a Dbacks jersey, but nonetheless, it's spring training. Who really cares? But this coming in, I mean, adding Zach Gallen at, the 11th hour is great. How do you hate it? I mean, but it pushes Soroka out. Now, basically, we have the exact same rotation we had after Corbin Burns got hurt last season. So it's very, very familiar. The one concern, I guess, would be, what are we going to get out of it? I mean, we already saw what they did for us last season, and they struggled. A lot of these starts from these pitchers didn't really turn into wins, didn't put us in position to win ball games. So, but focusing specifically on Gallen, it's what version of Zach Gallen are we going to get? Are we going to get the Zach Gallen from April all the way up to the end of July? If that's the case, then it's not going to be a big win for us. But if we get the Gallen that we saw come into August with a +5 ERA, and then he was dealing there at the end where, you could see he was kind of reeling. And once the season ended, I thought someone's going to throw a multi-year deal at him. One of these big market teams with the endless payroll, defer the shit out of it. They're going to throw him a 3-4 year deal. He's going to make $25 million, no problem. He's not coming back to Arizona. And it didn't really seem like that was the case, although he reported that he got multi-year deals. We don't know any details on that or any specifics. So, but I don't think he's a liar. But he used that as used that as an avenue to say, yeah, I got offered multi-year deals, but I want to be here. I'm going to take this 1 year deal, which is in a sense just a 1 year prove it deal, to where, as a fan, you got to be pumped up about it. Like, hey, we had that last minute signing going into spring training again, kind of Jordan Montgomery-esque, but the guy's coming in, he's got a chip on his shoulder. So he said he got deals. So maybe he didn't get dogged in the offseason in free agency, but he didn't get a deal that was good enough for him to say, you know what? No, I'm not taking that. I'm going back to the Dbacks on a 1 year deal. So, but the Kelly one was great. I mean, I was ecstatic when they signed that. I mean, he was obviously we talked many times about how vocal he was on coming back home, I guess, after he had his stint with the Rangers. But 2 years, 40 million. I mean, you can't beat that for a guy that age. And if he produces the way he's been doing, I mean, there's a reason why we call him the mainstay, right? But if I had to pick one or the other, obviously it's going to be Merrill Kelly. I mean, just because of his consistency that we've seen, we haven't seen his pitching drop off or his production drop off as much as we saw just the kind of, at times, the abysmal season that Zach Gallen had last year, where Kelly was kind of the safe. It was like, yeah, pay him the $20 million a year because you know what you're going to get. He's going to come in. He's that consistent contributor that we've grown to expect. And there's a reason why, he was so wanted at the trade deadline last season. So obviously Kelly, but I'm excited for both of them to come back. But did you heard the story about when Kelly learned that he was coming back to the Dbacks?
He was golfing with Zach Gallen, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was in Mexico for Alec Thomas's wedding, and he was he was with Zach Gallen. And then Zach Gallen said, he's like, yeah, well, okay, well, that means I'm not coming back to the Diamondbacks. So, but no, that's just a funny little part of it. And then it's great to see kind of it all work out. And props to ownership, front office to, give that option to Zach Gallen to come back and, put up the money. Although they are deferring 2/3 of it, I think.
14 million, I think.
Yeah. So it's,
hey, this year. Yeah, that's pretty good.
That's great. That's an absolute win for this team.
Yeah, and I'm sure he's not like hurting for the money. He's already made a fair amount, and I think it makes sense as well. Like you kind of said there, and we've talked about it, an additional prove it year for a guy that's 30 years old. So you hit free agency again at 31, and maybe you can get that 4, 5, 6 year offer you were looking for. Because them saying he had a multi-year offers that could have been 2 or 3 years, could have been 5 years, could have been 10 years. We have no idea, but clearly he wants big money and a long-term commitment. And so if he wasn't quite seeing what he wants to, it makes sense for him to come back to a familiar landing spot. I did have to share this. It's kind of a complete waste of time, but I thought it was hilarious as I'm kind of looking to pull up an article here. I don't know. Someone needs to tell AOL that Zach Gallen is signed because according to them 10 hours ago, the Cubs are finalizing a deal with right-handed pitcher Zach Gallen. I don't know if the Cubs know that. I don't know if Zach Gallen knows that.
That's at the top of the
This
list.
is the number one news story when you search Zach Gallen.
Oh,
I even spelled it right and everything.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So don't trust everything you read on the internet, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, that's the internet, folks.
But yeah, I think, when it comes to those two, I think it was almost a foregone conclusion that Merrill Kelly was going to come back because of the comments he was making on his way out the door. And because he has been consistently a good pitcher for us, consistently somewhat crampy, but we know what we're getting with him, and it is what it is. Now, along those lines, I don't think it's a cramping issue, but was on Saturday as we were sitting down to record the Heat Check podcast, that news was breaking that Merrill Kelly pulled himself from the start with some back tightness and he would get an MRI, which the immediate news on the MRI was a bit alarming to me. But Tallman, what I find to be a bit more alarming is the fact that we still don't have an update, and it is Tuesday evening heading into Wednesday. The most we've heard so far is that he's getting additional tests on his back. So to me, that signals maybe second opinion, could be something a little more severe. I mean, it's hard to tell, right? Because it could be a big nothing burger. It could just be like, I know the doctor said rest it for a week, but something really feels bad, so let's make sure it isn't something more severe. I tend to be more pessimistic on these types of stories and go full doomer. Yeah, thank you. I mean, I got to keep up a certain reputation here. But I mean, man, Torey Lovello had already come out and said Merrill Kelly's going to be the opening day starter. We had all this fanfare around his return. And now this news, please tell me you're more optimistic than me for the situation with Mr. Kelly's back here.
Well, I don't know, man. The way things have been going for us as Arizona sports fans, it's really hard to be optimistic. I mean, come on. I mean, so this obviously was not pleasant news for us over the weekend. This is probably worst case scenario because you're probably right on the money there, where this screams second opinion. And it's like, hey, I go to the doctor and Oh yeah, it's really, really bad. You're gonna need surgery. Okay, well, hold on. Let me go see what this other guy says, right? So second opinion is not the best case scenario if that's actually what's going on, and the more testing. Because what we were hoping for, crossing our fingers, was yeah, he has the MRI. They come out the next day. Oh yeah, everything's good. We're just gonna rest him up for the next couple of weeks. He'll be good to go. But that is a little scary, a little alarming that we haven't heard anything yet. So I'll try to be optimistic, man. But it's right now. It's yelling at me saying he's gonna miss the start of the season, which is crazy to think. Who's our opening day starter? Is it Zach Gallen? Is he going to be our opening day starter again when it was just a total crapshoot that he's even on this team right now? But I mean, you're praying right now. You're praying that tightness right there for Kelly is nothing major. But for a dude like that, just throwing a couple pitches, warming up, I think he got to 12 pitches and then he shut himself down. I mean, and then a dude of his age, his experience, I mean, he knows when something's not right, right? So I don't know. I'll try to be optimistic for you, Chris, but it's not looking good. I'm not feeling good about it.
No, I mean it's hard not to, especially with all the history of injuries with the Diamondbacks and the Valley more broadly. I think we're just so beaten down and dejected at this point because every time there's an injury, it's a major injury. It's a Tommy John, it's an ACL, it's this, it's that. Now back could be anything. And muscle strain is not the end of the world. And I'd rather they err on the side of caution, especially this early in the season, and not even in the season. The season hasn't even started yet. So if he has to sit out the rest of spring training, and if he's ready to go day 1 or week 1 or week 2, I think that's honestly like up there with best case scenario. Best case scenario is he comes back next week and he's perfectly fine and nothing's wrong. You just rub some icy hot on it. But the fact that it's taken this long to get an additional update on it, I know it's only 48, 72 hours. It's still, with the access to care that they have, they know something by now and they're just not telling us. So the fact that they're seeking additional testing and second opinions makes me a tad bit nervous. I would be lying if I said I wasn't, but obviously there are more pitchers than just Merrill Kelly and Zach Gallen. And so I pull up here ESPN's projected Arizona Diamondbacks depth chart, if you will. Now, Torey Lovullo has been very adamant. He's not going to make any final decisions until probably 5 minutes before the first game of the season. I know that's hyperbole, but he's not going to show his cards. He's not going to tip his hand. There's a bug in my screen. But as you can see here, as far as the pitching rotation goes, they're projecting Merrill Kelly, Zach Gallen, Ryan Nelson, Eduardo Rodriguez, and Brandon Pfaadt. I think the interesting one for me is Brandon Pfaadt at the end there, because there's a lot of chatter about could Michael Soroka sneak up and take his spot. Now, you mentioned he's one of those guys. He's going to pitch for Canada, I think you said. And so he's going to miss some time away from the team, still be getting those reps. But Brandon Pfaadt, admittedly, for my money, did not present as well last year as I think a lot of us were expecting him to, and maybe we needed him to. He had that strong run at the end of 2023, kind of carried that into 2024 a bit, and then last year just really had a pretty massive ERA, if I'm remembering properly. It wasn't an Eduardo Rodriguez ERA, but it was still kind of up there. He was notoriously at that Washington Nationals. He was pitched that Washington Nationals game, right? That Mike and Nico were at, where we gave up like 25 runs in the first 2 innings. Do you remember that?
I don't think it's 25.
No, it was up there.
They gave up like 9 runs in the first inning or something like that. Something ridiculous. Poor guy. Sorry, what was your? I totally fumbled that, Chris. What was your?
No, I did not have
okay.
a question. I was just trying to find out how badly they spanked us, and I can't. National scored 9 runs before first out, so maybe the final score wasn't all that bad, but it was just like, 11-7. Okay, so it's not that bad, but they were teeing off on young Brandon Pfaadt. But I guess to ask you a question and keep this conversation pushing, 2-parter. One. What do you think of this projected starting lineup? And do you think that Soroka could overtake Pfaadt for that 5th spot?
Yeah, I like the projection. I mean, if you ask me on the spot, name the 5-man rotation right now, that'd be exactly what I'd say. Kelly's opening day starter, and everything else after that looks good. Looks like where it should be. And then with the Soroka part, it's like there is the whole question of do they go to a 6-man rotation, What happens when Corbin Burns comes back? Who gets booted out? Do they go to a 6-man rotation at that point? Where Torey Lovullo said no 6-man rotation. So it's going to be an interesting conversation for us to have once we get closer to that in the summer and we get closer to Corbin Burns coming back. But to talk about what we have now, people are available. I don't see Soroka, sneaking up and stealing that 5th spot from Fott. I mean, you got to look at what Fott's done. He's proven in the biggest moments that he can be the guy and he can be unhittable. Does he have some stuff to work out? Yes. Can he get absolutely smashed giving up the deep ball? Yes, he can. We've seen that's still something he has yet to really fully shake. Is he's just, everyone's just can tee off on him at any given time. But you got to look from a team standpoint of he's still a younger guy. We've invested money in him, dude. We signed him long term. He's a guy that we need to give the runway to see if he can take the next step and be one of our main guys for the next 4 years. So I think just based off of what he's done, what he's shown, what he's capable of, and I just like the kid too. So that's also part of why I don't think it's possible. And then you got Soroka coming in. He's the 1-year dude trying to prove that he can stay healthy. He can be a big league starting pitcher. I just don't see a world where Fott is out in the bullpen and Soroka's taking up his spot in the rotation.
Yeah, I think it's hard to imagine. Like Soroka has done well in the past, but clearly not the same player that he used to be. And with Fott, he is a young guy, 27 years old. But as we mentioned, that little bit of a decline last year from the year before, he had a 4.71 ERA in 2024, and last year finished with a 5.25. I mean, not like years or massive distances apart, but still somewhat of a regression. Gave up more runs and basically the same number of games played. Although the interesting part was he had more wins because I think he was like 10-0 or 11-0 something, right, to start the season. Something like that, right?
Yeah, I think it was something. I don't know if it was 10-0, but it was something ridiculous for you. Like, there's no way. That's why
wins the most wins in baseball, I think.
Yeah, that's why wins and losses for a pitcher doesn't even matter. That's the most useless stat.
I 100% agree, and that's why I took it out of our fantasy baseball stats league like 4 years ago because it's just so dependent on the offense. But while we're still talking about Brandon Pfaadt, I did not know this, and I heard today that he still has a minor league option available should the Diamondbacks choose to go that route. Now, with the current injuries and Corbin Burns not being available, not going to be available till the late summer, you're probably going to need a Brandon Pfaadt, and Michael Soroka would probably really have to show that he can do well and do well consistently. Not to mention, like, Eduardo Rodriguez has not been great, but he is our only lefty in the starting rotation. Would you even entertain the idea of sending Brandon Pfaadt down to AAA to try and maybe get right or get some easier reps, as it were?
No, I don't think so. I don't think at this point. I mean, I know we're not. If you break down his contract, we're not paying him. It's not like because he got like a 5-year, $50 million deal or something. It's not like we're paying him the full $10 million. It's all on the back end where it's really heavy. But I just don't see. I don't know at this point in his career, confidence wise, at 27, given the amount of games that he's pitched, the amount of major league pitches he's thrown, I don't see that as a way to really boost him up anymore. Because I mean, for these young guys, yeah, absolutely. Send them down. That's kind of like a smack in the face. Like, hey, dude, you got to figure this out, right? You just got, demoted down to the minors. This is your chance to get right, come back because you're running out of chances. I don't see, I just don't picture it. I mean, if they're getting to that point where it's that bad, I mean, you pop them in the bullpen, but then you mentioned the injuries. I don't know. I mean, given the history of this rotation, and I mean, what was it last season? We thought we were sitting pretty, man. We had all these pitchers. I mean, we didn't know. We were talking about Ryan Nelson. Should he be? He should be a starter over Eduardo. He's getting the shit end of the stick. Ryan Nelson was in the bullpen half the year, and he was probably our best pitcher. So we were sitting pretty last year, but we saw what happened. This team fell apart at the seams. So it's very possible that we were running into the same thing, and there's just not a way or a scenario where you can send Fott down because you need his arm. You're going to need his arm every fifth day. But I don't know. It's really hard for me to see, like I said, a scenario where that this team at this point would send him down.
Yeah, and like you mentioned as well, the extension that they signed him to, I think kind of would make that less likely as well. As a 5-year, $45 million extension that'll go from this season in 2026 all the way through the 30 season, which that's crazy to even think about. But man, yeah. So I think you got to keep Fott up, but I just hope that he figures it out. I mean, you have it in your back pocket should he just absolutely come out and be complete ass and you need to plug someone else in there, whether that's Soroka or someone else. I mean, you hope that's not the case. But again, kind of like I think I mentioned with Lawlar, you have that flexibility where you can still move him down if push comes to shove. But I would agree with you that I think it's unlikely. Now kind of pushing forward and looking at some other positions outside of the starting rotation, we got to talk about the bullpen and what they're going to do with the closer position, because if they're healthy, you would think it would be Justin Martinez or AJ Puck. But as you can see here, both of those guys are on the 60-day IL to start. And as far as I know, what they're projecting AJ Puck sometime in July or August, and then Martinez around August. And that's damn near the end of the season. That's post All-Star break. So in the meantime, we can see here on the ESPN depth chart projection that they think Kevin Ginkel is going to be the closer. And I hate to say that that's like the conventional wisdom or maybe just the conventional thought that people think that is what makes sense. It's because he has manned that position before. He's done okay in that position before, but he's also done really bad as the closer. So it's a toss up. I mean, you get the signing of an old friend like Paul Sewall, who was crucial to that 2023 World Series run and then did not do so good in the following seasons and ended up moving on to play for the Guardians, I believe it was. And he didn't really impress anyone in Cleveland either. So now he's back. He's in the bullpen. And then you got a familiar face there in Ryan Thompson. Tallman, for your money, I feel like I just got to ask you all these questions because you're here. There's also, the option of a young Dre Jameson, who I know you and I have both been impressed by in the past because he can throw some heat. He has dealt with some injuries, but he's a guy who's come out and said, I either want to start or I want to close. So he likes the pressure. He likes the big spots. I think that could be a potential option, but for you, if you were Torey Lovullo right now, who would you pick to be your closer?
Oh, if I had to pick right now, it'd probably be Kevin Ginkel. I know. So with I'm right there with you with the Dre Jameson thing. I mean, the kid he's just had a crappy run with the injuries. The dude just can't stay healthy, but he's got all the tools, man. He's got all the tools to be special. And I mean, basically he reminds me of kind of like what Justin Martinez was like when he came in. He's got the ability to be that guy. And I think he's supposed to pitch tomorrow. Dre Jameson supposed to pitch tomorrow in spring training. I think, yeah. So keep an eye on that. But I think he's going to be real interesting. He might be a key to this whole thing. But if I had to pick right now without, seeing how the rest of the spring goes, it'd probably be Ginkel, just because a guy that's has had a lot of those high leverage moments, has been successful in a lot of them. Yeah, he's been pretty piss poor in a lot of them too, but look down at the rest of the names in that bullpen. Everybody in that bullpen has been terrible at one given point. I mean, there's a reason why we had 16 different players,
something like that,
earn a save last season for the Diamondbacks. That right there tells you there's some type of an issue. But I'd be betting on Ginkel to have kind of that bounce back. He's come out and said he's fully healthy. He's ready to go. He can throw high 90s. He's got some good movement on the breaking ball. So he's a guy that can definitely do it. He can do the job. But really, you're really just looking at one of those guys to emerge and just kind of hold us over until July. Because there's no doubt about it. This closer is going to be Justin Martinez. That kid's got the stuff. I mean, when you're throwing 102 miles per hour, I mean, that's hard. That's hard to hit, right? So I think it's his job to come back. When he comes back, Puck's going to be the 8th inning setup guy. I mean, it's you just got, like I said, you just got to pray for one of these dudes to just be like, you know what, I'm jumping up. I'm taking the reins, and I'm going to take us into July till we get our reinforcements. But the other name on that, I'd say on that list was Juan Murillo, or Murillo, not Murillo.
Murillo.
Say it a little more white there, would you?
Sounds about right,
Jesus Christ. But
Lourdes Goriel.
Gabriel.
Okay,
but he's one of those same guys like Martinez, where it was like forever with Martinez. Yeah, you can throw the heat, but you can't control it. That's like the same thing with Juan right now. It's like we saw him come up, and he was relied on a lot at the end of last season, just because we had dudes dropping like flies, and then we were trying to figure out if anyone would work. We're throwing shit at the wall to see what would stick. So they optioned a lot of those guys down, brought up Juan, where he ended up being one of our main guys towards the end. And, he showed some glimpses of someone that could be a contributor in the A bullpen. Remember, we had our A bullpen and our B bullpen, where maybe he could steal some innings in high leverage positions. So because he can throw the heat, dude, he can throw it 100 miles per hour. He's got that closer stuff, but can he piece it all together and be successful?
So you're saying they could be like a 1-2 punch, something like that.
No, okay, that's what I'm talking about.
maybe like the 8th and the 9th.
Yeah.
And I know Torrey likes to kind of build out his pitchers kind of back to front. He kind of likes to see who's going to be the closer. Then he'll figure out the 8th, 7th, 6th, and so on. I think, the idea is right. You want your starters to at least pitch 6 innings. I think the old Torrey wanted them to go 7, right? But with all the injuries and stuff, we've rarely seen that in recent history. But then you got other guys that you can kind of look at. There's that Andrew Hoffman kid that we traded for last season. I think a lot of people are interested to see what he has. But for me, man, when I look at Kevin Ginkel, the stats from last season just scare me a lot. And only 29 games played, but he had a 7.36 ERA. That is a lot of earned runs to give up. 1 wins, 4 losses, only 3 saves. I mean, it's a lot of earned runs, but you could say short sample size. You should, because the year before that in 2024, he had 72 games played, and in 2023, 60 games. So 29 on the lower end. Was he injured last year? Just real quick to jog.
Yeah, he was. So that's why he came out this year and he's like, I'm healthy, I'm 100%, I'm ready to go. But yeah, it was a down year for him last season. You could say the same with Ryan Thompson. I mean, there's several names in that bullpen that are like, you guys just didn't have a good year collectively as a group. It was a down year for that bullpen.
Yeah, that might be an understatement if we're being completely honest, because we kind of turned into the Tommy John Diamondbacks a little bit last year, and in all of our pitching, for that matter. But you do bring I keep calling him an old man, but he's 35 years old. Paul Sewald. I don't know why. I look at him and I think he's like 43 years old. I think he's like Justin Verlander's age, but he's not. He's not. So maybe he has a second wind in him. Maybe he can get right as well. What if it's like the reverse of last year, where instead of everyone getting injured and it being woe is us, what if everyone just snaps back into being perfectly healthy and we have like a pseudo all-star game? I mean, Tallman, what do you always tell me, man? Dreaming is free, right? I mean, at the end of the day, if even half of these guys can show up and be serviceable, I'll be happy with it. But to answer my own question that I asked you, I would probably go with Ginkel as well, just because he is, what he can do, what he's capable of. And if you want to just throw out last season and chalk it up to him being injured and not right, and then missing a lot of time, then so be it. Then roll him out there and see what you got. And I'm all in favor of, the first month or so, you can be a little more experimental. And and that's crazy for me to say, because last year I was like, every game counts. We missed the playoffs by 1 game the year before, but it really kind of does. Because if I remember properly, we were pretty close to sniffing the playoffs last year too, just by a couple of games. It's a win or lose league, or whatever cliche they say. but every game does count. But to some extent, when you're so banged up and you're just trying to get through the early part of the season to get healthy, especially when you consider not just the pitching staff, but the position players that are injured as well, you kind of, I don't want to say you expect to lose, but you know your chances to win maybe aren't as high as if a lot of those guys are healthy. And then seeing on the horizon, getting an AJ Puck and a Justin Martinez and a Corbin Burns back, that could just take you to the next level. And as Michael Benjamin has pointed out, and kind of similar to the Suns, it's like you look at those guys coming back as almost like all-star trade deadline acquisitions, where instead of going out and trading at the trade deadline, you're just getting guys healthy. So you're adding to the team just by osmosis of guys getting healthy. And it's not the right word, but that's the word I'm going to use. But I don't know. We'll see. Again, Torey Lovullo is not showing his hand. He's not going to say who he intends to be the closer, and we're just going to have to see. But I think Ginkel's a safe bet.
Yeah, and what's great about Lovullo here is he's actually saying there's going to be a closer. Somebody's going to be given that title, which last season it was everything but that. It was, oh, I like this matchup of that. Like, no, he's come out and said, which is great, and we talked about it in nauseum last season about these guys got to know what they're doing. They're creatures of habit, right? So he's already going to pan it out where he's our seventh. He's our setup guy. He's our seventh inning. He's our eighth. And then this is going to be our closer, which is great. And then you mentioned some of the concerns about Ginkel. And then, of course, the old man, as you call him. Hey, he's older than us, so you can call him old man.
Yeah, that's valid, right?
That applies. But yeah, and Paul Sewald, I mean, look at there's a reason why. So, okay, if you look at the roster, it's like we have so many pitchers, so many relievers. But granted, that's pretty normal for it. But think about all the young pitchers we added to that bullpen. I mean, with all the trades, it was like everything we got back was, aside from Tyler Locklear, was a pitcher, right? So there's some young guys in there where, we have some flexibility where if Ginkel comes out, he's named the closer. He comes out and shits the bed. I mean, I expect that leash to be really short because you have a lot of different options. We already mentioned Drake Jamieson. I mean, you have that Cade Stroud guy that we got in the trade for
McCarthy, right?
No, Blaze Alexander. Where
right. Blaze,
yeah, where Stroud. I mean, he made his major league debut last season, but he was pretty good on a small sample size. So you might have some talent there that you can get out of. Who's the other guy they keep talking about? The one that's always hurt. I can't pronounce his fucking last name.
It's not a great.
Jonathan Loaiziga. Loaiziga.
Oh, Jonathan Loaiziga. Yeah.
Loaiziga. There you go.
He was
I just need someone to say it first.
No, you're good. And I feel like I always do this, Tallman, but it's usually in like different games. But the MLB The Show, Jonathan Loaiziga I learned through that game that he can throw some heat. He is a triple digit pitcher when healthy, but I think they were saying in the last like 3 or 4 years, he's only played a handful of games. So it's really just, taking a flyer on him. And I mean, even I couldn't find him here on ESPN because they don't even have him listed on the roster because I'm almost positive they signed him to a minor league contract. But no, I'm sorry to interrupt you. But Jonathan,
yeah. And they did sign him to a minor league contract. And it looks like 2024, he had 30 appearances for the Yankees, 0-1 record, 4.25 ERA. So that's across 29 2/3 innings pitched. So I don't know. I mean, it's a guy that you just offer a minor league contract. Maybe he comes in, maybe he figures it out, maybe he can be a contributor. But just the great part about it is, I mean, there's a lot of young guys in there that could potentially, with our top two guys out, and if you have Ginkel and Thompson, if they don't figure their stuff out and they're coming into another low where they might just taper off and disappear, I mean, there's a lot of opportunities that are up for grabs on this team. And that's got to be something you got to think a little positive about, where at least, hey, we're not stuck with Ginkel forever if it doesn't work out. You could rotate it out, and you just got to bank on one of these guys really stealing the show and showing that they can be the one.
And I think that's like kind of the genius of Mike Hazen too, where he's just gone out and like made sure like pitching is not going to be a problem for us as much as we can control it. You can't control the injuries, but if you look at the roster in a perfect world, if you were able to go into the settings and turn off injuries, this Diamondbacks pitching roster and just roster in general would be absolutely diabolical and ready to compete any given night. You gotta try. And if you can get a guy on a good value like Loaisiga with a high upside, I mean, why not? See if it works out. You're probably not going to pay a lot for him, and maybe he can come in and contribute at some capacity. Although with the amount of injuries and surgeries he's had, will he still be able to be the same player he once shown he can be? I mean, I feel like that's kind of what we're looking at with Soroka a little bit too, where it's like this guy showed a lot of promise, but then had some injuries, got banged up, and now maybe he's a shell of himself. But anything's possible. Again, Tallman, maybe that's going to be my motto for the Dbacks in 2026 is anything is possible. And you got to believe. You got to believe. I've been watching Ted Lasso again. You got to believe.
Oh, have you? I haven't seen it yet.
Really? It's a good
watch.
watch.
I know. You're not the only person to say that. Yeah, no.
I'll be honest, I held out for a long time. Like I watched it like once they filmed like all 3 seasons or whatever, and it was a while after, and then finally watched it. And it was,
did you? Yeah, I was the same way with that Severance show. I held out forever, and then I just like binge watched the hell out of it, and I was like, that was an incredible show.
I feel like I was
like, I don't know why.
I was telling you and Mike for a while. I was like, yo, Severance, it's a good show. You gotta watch Severance. And then you've passed me. I haven't even finished season 2. I think I watched season 2, episode 1.
It's good. You gotta go watch it.
I will. It's on the list. It's on the list. But yeah, so I mean, pitching, closer, we'll see what happens, but I think we're in a pretty decent spot. It sucks that we're not going to get some of our best arms back till later in the season, but silver lining is they are coming back this season. So if they can at least be serviceable at some capacity, or I shouldn't say that, if the Diamondbacks can at least compete to some capacity and keep us in the hunt for at least a wild card spot, because everybody knows the Dodgers are going to win the NL West. I'm not even going to pretend to dream like the Diamondbacks could win the NL West. I know we said dreaming is free, but that's like you got to be hitting a crack pipe if you think the D-backs are going to beat the Dodgers for the NL West. But
holy shit.
I'm pulling out the big guns.
No, I mean I like it. I like it.
I mean, we're almost an hour in, and I think we're pretty safe. But we got to work our way in. So we talked about the pitching, starting, the bullpen. Now let's talk about the position players. And there are some position battles. We've already kind of touched on the outfield and kind of the tight infield here. But what I find interesting is I think the infield's kind of locked up because you're going to have Arenado at third. You're going to have Perdomo at short, Cattell at second, and then Pavin/Santana at first. I know I got the graphic. So let's talk about it while I got the page up here. So this is no room at infield for Jordan Lawlar. He moves to center field, which he has been playing at center field so far in spring training and doing a decent job. I mean, this guy's an athlete and a baseball player. So, he's played in the outfield before. All these guys have played every position. So I think he's perfectly capable. And for the time being, it makes sense, especially given Corbin Carroll's injury, Lourdes Gurriel Jr.'s injury that we've mentioned. But long term, do you see Lawlar staying in the outfield, or will they eventually bring him in and stick him at third or get some reps at short?
If it all works out this season for him and he puts together a decent campaign, I don't see him find, at least on this team, coming into the infield. I mean, if he can prove that he's good in the outfield, I mean, there's no reason to bring him back in. I mean, you got to look at Lourdes Gurriel is not going to be around forever. Right field, you don't got to worry about because, that's locked down for the next 6 years for sure. And hopefully for the next 10 years. But I mean, we got rid of Blaze Alexander, which I thought for sure he was going to be our starting left fielder. I was like, there's no doubt about it. This guy, they're going to find a spot for him. That was a shock for me. They traded him, but obviously this is part of their master plan, right? Of giving Jordan Lawlar an opportunity to be an everyday starter, so that no one can have the excuse of he doesn't have consistent starts. He can't get a good, groove going in the major leagues. He comes up, he's up here for a month, he plays 6 games, does shit, and then he gets sent down. So now there's not going to be any excuses for this young man. He's going to have every opportunity to play every single day, and it's just how it's laid out here. It's going to be in the outfield. I mean, if you thought Jordan Lawlar could play a third base and be good consistently defensively, the way that this team is going to be expected to play defense, you don't trade for Nolan Arenado. Jordan Lawlar is your third baseman, right? Then you stick Blaze Alexander in left and then call it a day. But this is part of the plan where we want to play lights out defense. Jordan Lawlar looked like a deer in the headlights when he played the infield in the major leagues. Every single time he was, I don't want to call him a full defensive liability in the infield, but he did not have a good showing. And hence why they're finding him a spot in the outfield. And it seems like he's doing all right. I mean, but you look at what they're doing with Alec Thomas. Obviously, we already talked about Jake McCarthy being gone. I mean, Jordan Lawlar is going to be a depth guy out there in the outfield. They're looking at him in center field. Alec Thomas is going to be in left. You're going to see your boy Barossa probably in right if Carroll misses any time. Because Barossa's a guy that doesn't have any more options, by the way, too. So if they send him down, he's going to be up on the
what option they do have for Barossa is just DFA in his ass and get him out of here.
Hey, he hit a home run, man. He ripped one down the right field line. It barely got off, but no.
When you're 5'5", it's not so easy to hit.
Hey, he's 5'6".
Okay, excuse me.
He's 5'6". How tall is Jose Altuve, man?
He's the exception, not the rule.
Yeah, there you go. That's a good point. But no, I don't see anytime soon Lawlar coming back in and into the infield just because he's had many runs at it, and I just think defensively, I think outfield's more his speed until he figures it out. I feel like I'm saying everybody needs to fucking figure it out. I've said figure it out
they need
like
to get
20 different times. They do. But no, I like Lawlar in the outfield, and I mean it's just his offense, dude. He's got to figure it out, Chris. I mean, when you can't even hit 100 when he's been up. I mean, his batting average was absolutely atrocious. But I think the outfield will suit him well, and you stick him in center. I mean, he can, doesn't have to be super fast. I mean, you have Alec Thomas on one side, Barossa on the other side. Even when Carroll comes back, those three guys are major speed guys. So I think he's right at home where he should be in the outfield.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Although I know there was a lot of talks about having him at third, and which you could still do and have Arenado either get a day off or play DH for that matter. But I think the emergence of Tim Tawa last year was really the most interesting wrinkle in this plan, because I could see him potentially beating out Jordan Lawlar. And as much as they love him, I don't know, man. I don't think sending Lawlar down to waste away in the minor leagues is really going to help his development at this point. He needs to come up. He needs to see major league reps, and he needs to not miss 40 and go 0 for 40 ever again. He needs to just start hitting, which I know, small sample size, spring training, he's doing a lot better, but you just hope that carries into the regular season. And I think there's a good chance it will, but what do you do when Carroll and Gurriel come back with Lawlar then is what my biggest question is. You're going to have this logjam, which I guess you can maybe think about a trade at that point, not necessarily maybe moving off a Lawlar. I don't know. I just don't know, Tallman, but for now, it seems like the outfield with the current state of it is pretty locked up. It's going to be Lawlar, Thomas, and Carroll when we're at half strength. And then when Gurriel comes back, then we can start to have those conversations about what do you do with Lawlar. I mean, in the meantime, so moving kind of, I know we said we're starting in the infield and moving to the outfield, but I want to head to the right side of the infield and that first base position, because I think that was the biggest question mark. We had it's been so long, I already forgot his name. The guy we shipped off to Seattle. Naylor, Josh Naylor.
Yes.
Goodness gracious, my brain.
Got me there too. I'm so glad you said it, because I was about to look stupid.
No, you're good. We just gotta have some trivia here. No, but so that was the big question, is like, what are we gonna do? Everyone, I think, like immediately after the season ended, they were like, oh, well, you could just, and I'm gonna forget his name now. Eugenio Suarez. They were like, maybe you bring him back, stick him at first, but then he had a kind of terrible showing in Seattle as well. But and then signed a less than stellar contract with the Reds, which it's fine. I think that's fine. But we went out and did get Carlos Santana, he is an old man. if I'm not mistaken. He is an old man. He's 39 years old. He's about to be 40 by the beginning of April. So a couple weeks into the season, we're going to have a 40-year-old playing first baseman. Not unheard of, not the end of the world, but obviously he's not going to get all the reps. He's going to be sharing that position with Pavin Smith. But Tallman, what I want to ask you about is, I know you love Pavin. You're craving Pavin. We all like him. And they're kind of going to have that left-right combo. But do you remember, I'm going to throw a name there and let me know if you remember. Tyler Lawlar. He was the young first baseman we got in that trade for Naylor and Suarez. I think they were separate deals, but he came from Seattle and it was like, oh, it's a good prospect. It's a good prospect. And then he didn't really do very good. And then he got injured and he's going to be injured to start the season, I believe. But do you think there's a place for him to get a second chance and a second look at first base? Especially, I guess, part two of that is, do you have any faith that Carlos Santana will produce offensively at any level for us?
Yeah, Tyler Locklear, he's going to have another shot. I think he's not going to make the opening day roster. I think he's going to start in AAA. He's going to go to Reno, which might be good for him. It's a hitters hit in Reno, and Locklear is supposed to have a pretty good bat, so it could be really good for him to get a bounce back, and maybe he can hit some home runs down there. So, but I don't think I think right now, unless we have just a terrible showing from Carlos Santana and from Pavin Smith, then maybe you roll something in there, try to figure out, if Locklear can pull something else up. But I don't know. He's only 26, 25. So he's still a young dude. But I definitely picture him getting another opportunity, because when he first came over in the trade, it was like, oh man, he struggled a little bit. He definitely did. So maybe him going to Reno will help him out, but I definitely expect to see him again. That's not going to be the last of him. But Carlos Santana, I mean, dude, what did we invest in him? I mean, he's a 1-year guy. I mean, if he showed he can still play defense. I mean, did he win a Gold Glove 2 years ago or something?
Was it that recently? Here, I can pull it up really fast.
It was like 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, so, 2024 Gold Glove.
2024, yeah. I mean, come on. I mean, we're putting a huge emphasis on defense. So, I mean, if he comes in and he can hold down first base defensively, and then he can hopefully hit a couple deep balls for us, strike out a bunch, I'm okay with that. That's a win. I loved his nickname. I didn't know this. I just pulled up his MLB page. His nickname is Slam Tana.
Slam Tana. That could catch on.
That is awesome. I really do like that. But no, he's like a low risk, high reward potentially. So it's I'm not too worried about that. The Pavin Smith though, it's like we started off here talking about Lawlar running out of chances, talking about Alek Thomas. This is his year. He's running out of chances. When is Pavin Smith going to run out of chances? You know what I mean? He's just kind of that constant dude that's just on the team. Granted, you can argue, has he had, the opportunity to be an everyday player? No, he really hasn't, over several years, but this might be his year where this is also maybe his last chance, where he's going to play a lot of games this season for sure. You got 40-year-old Santana. He's not playing over 100 games. That's for sure. So then Pavin Smith, he's got the ability to DH for you as well. We've seen that a lot. So he's going to be in this lineup a decent amount of time. So I don't know. How old's Pavin?
It looks like he just turned 30.
30. Okay. Right. So yeah, you know what we say here on this program. Once you hit 30, you're past your prime.
Past your prime.
Unfortunately. It's all downhill trajectory from there. But no, it's set up. That's what's great about this team is like we got our core dudes in Carroll, Marte, Perdomo, Burns. We talked about the relievers that are hurt, but it's like we got some pretty good young talent, and there's jobs out there to be had. And the same thing with Pavin. It's like I said that when is he going to run out of chances? I mean, at this point, with those young guys coming up, with Locklear in particular on his ass, this might be the last year for him to really grasp it and lock it up. Locklear. You see that?
Locked up. Wait, okay, so let me ask you this because I can't remember, but I think like Tawa can play pretty much any position, right? Is there a world where you can stick Tawa at first base?
Yeah, he played first a couple games last year.
He's done it, right? Okay.
Yeah.
And I think with Pavin, like his 2025 earnings were 1.5 million. Just did a quick little search on the Google, and it said he's only making 2.25 this year at 30 years old. So you're not investing a lot in him, and really, you know, not investing a lot at first base, period. So I don't think we have our long-term answer at first base, but you know, if you can get some production out of him, if you can have Santana, you know, split those days with him, and that'll keep both of them healthy, right? If they're not both expected to be everyday guys, then I think that kind of eases up the expectations and maybe some of the nerves they're having. Because Pavin can hit, like he's hit some clutch home runs before. He's hit a grand slam here and there. Like I know the fans like Pavin, but from a production standpoint, you can see there 258 last season. I mean, that's okay. That's above the Mendoza line, if I'm remembering correctly, which is like, okay, you got a serviceable hitter here, but with the aspirations of the Diamondbacks and the Dbacks fans in general, we're going to need some production from first base. But I think the most important thing is defense, and it sounds like that's pretty shored up with Santana. And I can't remember off the top of my head any times that Pavin Smith made any egregiously poor decisions at first base. I mean, again, clearly my memory isn't great when I can't remember players that were on our team last year, right?
Yeah, no, I can't really either, because I know we had that big drop off with Walker leaving and Naylor coming in, where Naylor was not half the defender that Walker was, and we got, you know, we were spoiled at first base for so long with Christian Walker, and prior to that, Paul Goldschmidt. So, but yeah, I can't think of anything where it's like we came on here and we're like, God damn it, Pavin. So.
Trade him now. You would hear from us too. You would hear from us too. If Pavin slipped up, we would be the first to tell you about it.
But no, right now, Chris, the future of first base is Tyler Locklear. I mean, it's that would be a bold statement. Hey, as it's constructed right now, that would be okay. What are they doing right now? But you never know with this team. You never know with Mike Hazen. I mean, where did Carlos Santana come from? Where did even the Josh Naylor trade come from? You know, you never know. You never know. But I do wish that they did lock up Josh Naylor. I mean, he was a hell of a player.
You're telling me the future isn't going to be Luke and Baker?
Who the hell is that?
I don't know.
He's 28.
Yeah. Hey, 235 though, hit better than Locklear last season. That's all I'm saying. I jest. This kid is 28, about to be 29. He's 1 year away from being past his prime. So you can't be doing stuff like that when you're talking about the future of the franchise. But I think regardless, first base leaves much to be desired. And I think there's a lot of opportunity for the team to improve that position in the future. But for now, we got to work with what we got. And I think it's, as much as I can dog on them, they're two, possibly three serviceable guys that'll be able to play that position. And I think hold it down just fine, especially when you consider the production we get out of those other positions in the infield and the outfield, even from an offensive standpoint. And it helps to have those guys that are flexible, that can play multiple positions, which the Diamondbacks have quite a few of those guys. So the optimism is in the air. The last infield position I do want to touch on just real briefly is the catcher spot. Because we got our Gold Glover, Gabby Moreno. He's going to be, I think, ready to go day one. And he's eyeing a productive season there at first base. Says Arizona Central. He's healthy. He's ready to go. I mean, every time he takes a ball off the hand or he goes out of a game, we kind of hold our breath, but we're not worried about Moreno. So we don't need to spend any time talking about Moreno. You can say if you're excited for him, but then what about the guys behind him? We have James McCann, old man, and young guy Adrian Del Castillo, or as Tallman would say, Adrian Del Castillo. And he's going to be injured to start the season, but I'm
logging off, dude.
No. I take it back. But what do you think of the catcher spot as a whole? And are you expecting the similar production that we've seen out of, all three of those guys, quite frankly?
Yeah, you got to feel pretty good about Moreno. I mean, he's like you said, he's healthy. He's already, because his defense is, is unmatched. He made I forgot who the writer was, but he was going on to start the season doing top 10 players in baseball at every position. They named Cattell's the number one second baseman. Perdomo got number 2 at shortstop. And then Moreno just barely skated in on that list at number 10. So the 10th best ranked catcher in all of baseball. So that's mainly from his defense. I mean, the biggest, I mean, he's had some power too. He's had some pop, but it's been less consistent as of late. But it's mostly because the guy can't stay healthy, man. He can't stay on the field. I know the run to the World Series, he got his ass beat up. It was like every game he's taking a bat off the helmet, a ball's bouncing short, jumping up and biting him. I don't know. This is his biggest hit is the dude just can't stay in the diamond. But like you said, he's healthy, he's ready to go, and I mean, you just hope that he can piece together a good season and keep that health bucket full. The James McCann, though, I'm kind of glad they brought him back. I mean, I'm not going to call him a bright shining light of last season because there was none of those to be had. But I mean, he was a surprise. He was that leadership guy. He came in. He's really the dude that they're giving credit to kind of who got Zach Gallen back together in August and September of the end of the season last year, where if you notice the catcher that's always out there for Zach Gallen, it's James McCann. So it's good and promising that McCann's back. So Gallen's got his little buddy there. So I was very, very happy that they brought him back. And I mean, you talk about these guys that I feel like give so much more. They contribute so much more than what they're being paid, but that's just kind of what it is. I mean, James McCann, I'm sure he's making like 1.2 million, and I'm sure he's happy as a pig in shit to be back on this team. So that's good. The whole ADC thing, Adrian Del Castillo, he's such an interesting story because his downside was always his defense. I mean, he's got a crazy good bat. We saw him, take our hearts, his first month of his major league debut where he hit a couple long balls. I anticipate that he's there in case someone gets hurt, and we're going to see him get a lot of run at designated hitter once he's back and healthy. So I like that room. I think we're pretty shored up there.
Yeah, and I'm always a big fan of having the veteran guy in the room, especially when you have two young guys. Because Gabriel Moreno is still fairly young, I believe. Maybe not. Maybe he's close to being past his prime. But you see this writer here, which I had it for a second and then completely forgot. But he has Gabriel Moreno pegged as the 6th best catcher in Major League Baseball heading into this year. So that gives me reason for optimism. I see an article here where Torey Lovello said on a last Monday, he said that Castillo will be out for most of spring training and the club will reassess him closer to the start of the regular season. Quote, he's doing things where he can. He's getting on his knees and throwing, but not really stressing that left calf at all. So, I'm sorry. I'm so immature.
Why did you laugh at that?
I don't know, man. I don't know. But I think you're right. He is an interesting story. He did come in and rake, but what can he truly provide? I think you might have mentioned it there. He'll probably get some run at DH. You can expect to see Cattell at DH periodically when he gets his half days off or whatever Torey wants to label him as, when he's not taking full days off to go back to the Dominican Republic unannounced. But yeah, I feel good about the catcher room, and I think that's why we don't really need to talk about it too much, because you got your cornerstone in Gabriel Moreno, you got your veteran in James McCann, and then you got your young guy in ADC who can come in and maybe hit some bombs and fill in some gaps here and there when needed. But overall, man, I'm feeling pretty good about the roster despite the lingering injuries and the pieces we're going to still be waiting to get back. Honestly, we've gone a little bit longer than I've expected, but if you got a little more gas in the tank, there's a couple last loose ends I want to tie up here.
Yeah, what you got?
Yeah. So as you know, we got to get through spring training, but opening day is what, March 26th? And that will be with the Diamondbacks in Los Angeles taking on the Dodgers. What do you think about the prospect of playing them to start the season on the road in LA. I know Mike was being crazy, said we should hop in the van and go out to LA for that game. I said, hell no, you will not catch me dead in that stadium, because I might die in that stadium if I went to that game. But Tallman, is this a good thing to just kind of get it out of the way while both teams are fresh and figuring it out? Or is this kind of like, could it end up being something, a lot of people might say a demoralizing first series if we end up losing the series, quite frankly?
Yeah, if anyone was going to get a fight at Dodger Stadium, it would definitely be you, Chris.
Hey.
So
I'll take that as I'm a passionate fan. It's my passion.
Yeah, I applaud your self-awareness, knowing damn well that you don't need to go to jail in Los Angeles. Anyway,
I'd probably get out pretty quick, but that's another story.
So to start the season on the road in LA, I mean, it's easy to sit there and say, oh shit, of course we have to start against the Dodgers after the offseason they had, adding Kyle Tucker, and just we know what the Dodgers are. Everybody does. The Dodgers are ruining baseball. They're a reason why we're not going to have baseball in 2027, which is okay in itself, because someone needed to do it. This all needs to happen, but that's a tangent. I'll get back on track here. I'm kind of in that boat of, you know what? Bring the best on right away. Who gives a hell? It's like what we mentioned before. It's like, we're going to have to play them eventually. Why not come out, start of the season? They don't know who we are. We don't know who they are, type of stuff. Granted, I think I kind of know who they are, but they don't know who we are. Let's have them underestimate this Dbacks team, which they love to underestimate us. So especially when it's a playoff series and they get swept by the Dbacks and go home crying with their tail between their legs. But I'm kind of okay with it. And it gives for great competition right off the bat. I mean, if you look at the start of our schedule, it's back-to-back series of great competition. But I'm not going to shy away from it, man, because you want your team to play the best and beat the best. It's kind of like how you argue about with basketball. It's like, how come the stars aren't playing every night? Don't you want my best to play against your best so that we can see who the best is? So I'm okay with it. I'm not going to be afraid of the big old bad Dodgers, and let's start off the season, with the series win. Although the odds are stacked against us. I know you went off on your tirade about us not winning the division, which is probably very true, but hey, let's get some good competition against this team, and let's see what we got.
No, I 100% agree. And I mean, what was the old shout out Nico Ric Flair quote? To be the man, you got to beat the man. And that's been transformed into, to be the best, you got to beat the best. And if we believe that the Dodgers are the best, back-to-back World Series champs looking for their third, they are the best in baseball with the crazy roster that's breaking baseball. And you're right, Tallman. We're going to get into that in a few weeks when we do our full Major League Baseball preview. And I will have plenty to say about the Los Angeles Dodgers and the impending lockout at that time. But for now, we'll just talk about the schedule. And I think it's good. We're going to have to play them the same number of games no matter when we play them in the season. We might as well get it out of the way early. And golly, man, looking at this schedule, it's not an easy slate to start, because right after that, you come home and you probably going to have to play Tarek Skubal in one of these games. Then you got a 4-game series against Atlanta, New York, Philadelphia. Oh my goodness, man. We don't get a break until the middle of April. Are you kidding me? Like, that is just absolutely brutal. But hey, if you're in Baltimore, go out to Camden Yards for $15. That'd be pretty cool. I am excited. One of the observations here, I am excited that this is going to be on NBC Peacock, where I'll actually be able to watch the game. But I think I'll probably have we'll talk. I'll probably be able to watch games anyway.
Yeah. I think I'll be sharing a password with you.
Very nice.
But yeah, no, that's cool. Oh, of course. I mean, come on, it's the Dodgers. You think they're gonna miss an opportunity on opening day in LA to have them on national television?
Well, okay, so I said I was going to save it, but I heard today, and I don't have the exact numbers in front of me, but they said like the average media deal for most teams is like 60, 70 million yearly revenue from their TV deals. And the Dodgers get like 275 million a year from their TV revenue. So for players like Bryce Harper and Manny Machado to come out and be like, every team could do it, but the Dodgers are the only ones who do it. It's like, you guys are just so dumb. You guys are so dumb. And there's a lot of factors. There's teams that aren't using their share of the revenue split or whatever to reinvest it into their team, which that's a fair criticism as well. But you can't ignore all the shiesty shit that the Los Angeles Dodgers are doing. But again, that's another conversation that we'll have another day. But yeah, man, I think as far as the start of the season, it is what it is. Let's get it out of the way. Let's show them that we are a good team and that we're a force to be reckoned with, and come out and play our best baseball. If we can win 1 of 2, I'll be happy with it. If we can win 2 of 3, I'll be over the moon. And if we can sweep them, I might just buy a lottery ticket. I don't know. But we'll at the end of the day, we'll take what we can get. If we start the season 0-3, it's not the end of the world. We're going to have plenty of time to bounce back. But I will go back to what I've said in years past, and I know I kind of contradicted myself a little bit at the beginning of this stream. Every game does count. Don't get me wrong. Every game does count, but there will be some growing pains because there's some new faces, there's some missing pieces. So we can expect that it might be a bumpy start, but you just hope that it's a serviceable start. But with that being said, I am excited for the 2026 MLB baseball season ahead and the Arizona Diamondbacks season. Tallman, before we get on out of here, is there any last thoughts you have on this team and the 2026 Diamondbacks?
Yeah, so I guess just in closing, I mean, my biggest thing right now is I want to see Merrill Kelly be the opening day starter. So what that means, what needs to happen is we need to get some good news in regards to his MRI, his, the injury he's dealing with right now, because Torey Lovullo's already said it's going to be Merrill Kelly. And what I don't need is Torey Lovullo scrambling, talking to 30, 40 different people on who the opening day starter should be. And he's going to fuck something up. So, but that's a joke right there, of course. I just want to see it from Merrill Kelly because for years and years, he was in the shadow, so to speak, although I know that's not at all his stance on anything in regards to this situation, but in the shadow of Zach Gallen Zach Gallen's the opening day starter. He's going to be the guy, where now it's Kelly coming in. Zach's on the team too, but it's been noted, hey, Kelly's that guy. And I want to see him do it just because of how his career has gone. I mean, he was a late bloomer in the MLB. He's been incredible here. He's a hometown dude. So I just want to see him get that nod opening day starter for the Arizona Diamondbacks. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, I think he deserves it. But at the end of the day, or maybe not the end of the day, maybe just right now today, I feel like there could be some type of curse the last couple seasons with Torey Lovullo and naming the starters, because we had that whole blunder last year with Corbin Burns, and then he wasn't ready to go and it got pushed and it was a whole cluster. But at the end of the day, we don't know about Merrill yet. Like we said, he could be perfectly fine. Maybe he just needs a few days rest. Maybe he just needs a massage or two, and he'll be back out there. Hoping for the best. But we'll be sure to keep y'all updated on that as we move forward through the next couple weeks in spring training. You got the World Baseball Classic kicking off next week. Those exhibition games will be on Tuesday the 3rd, a week from today, and then Wednesday the 4th. Those games will get started for 12 consecutive days. You'll get some exciting World Baseball Classic action, as well as all the awesome spring training stuff going on. So best believe we'll keep attuned to that. But I want to thank anybody who's watching live right now, or anybody listening back on the playback. If you've made it this far, nearly 90 minutes into the stream or the playback, you're a real one, and we appreciate you. Like I said, please, if you're watching on YouTube, give us a like, make sure you subscribe to the channel, and share the show with all of your friends and your enemies. Even send it to your enemies, and maybe you could make a friend. You never know, guys. You never know. But last thing I want to say, Michael Benjamin, I'm sorry. It looks like the Suns are losing to the Celtics 80-64.
It's really bad.
As I'm looking at it now. It looks like they had a 7-point run to start the fourth, but I might be too late with just about 10 minutes left to play. But Mike will get us an update. I'm sure we'll get some boots on the ground footage or something like that. Mike, we missed you. It's been a lot of fun. But for VSP Tallman, I'm Chris Patrick, and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Wraps things up here And for one last time, this is Al McCoy saying thanks for being there. Thanks for being with us tonight. And from the Footprint Center here in downtown Phoenix, we'll just say so long for now.